Acclaimed Sports Park is a park designed for an expansion team. The ASP is one of the most fan-friendly parks around. Not only does this park promote exciting, high-scoring baseball games, but the features are exciting as well. Fans seated in the park can see the water slide and the Ferris wheel, which helps create a carnival-like atmosphere. There's a large pool area, rides, and an arcade that features both classic games and the newest releases. Hitters should be able to take advantage of the small dimensions and the low fences. Not much pitchers can do in this park other than keep the ball low in the strike zone and pray. Focus your draft on power hitters and look for pitchers that can strike guys out. Drupal County Stadium is a park designed for an expansion team. The luxury boxes in this park are furnished with plush couches that provide incredible comfort and a place to nap between innings. The impressive P.O. Valley Hotel stands over the right field bleachers. The most distinguishing feature is the ivy-covered brick wall in right field known as the Great Brick Wall. Left center field is extremely deep and can frustrate right-handed power hitters. Draft the best left-handed power hitters you can and look for outfielders with speed. Try to add some left-handed relievers to your staff to help neutralize opposing lefty sluggers. Enzo Field is a park designed for an expansion team. The Ends has a neoclassic style and bears some resemblance to Wrigley Field. The high-cut grass surface and the vines give the park an ageless feel. Unlike Wrigley, which has ivy draped on the walls, the vines that cling to the outfield fences here are a bit different. These vines aren't just the fruits of one's labor, they bear fruit. They're real grapevines that are harvested and used to press Enzo's vintage grape juice. The juice is a little bitter, but fans seem to enjoy it quite a bit. Pitchers should benefit from the reliable infield grass and the large amount of foul territory. Balance your draft, but focus on pitching in the early part of the draft. Fishback Field is a park designed for an expansion team. Just beyond the short porch in right field is an office park that is leased to local businesses. Many of the people that work there stay around late so they can watch the games from their office windows. On the first floor is a state-of-the-art arcade, which features cutting-edge video game technology. The plexiglass fence in right is certainly the most distinguishing feature in this park. The wall itself is reminiscent of Fenway's Green Monster, but is clear. Onlookers can see through the fence and catch all the action on the field. Left-handed sluggers should have a field day knocking the ball off the clear monster. Draft some left-handed hitters to take advantage of this park and some left-handed pitchers to counter opposing lefty hitters. Clear Mountain Field is a park designed for an expansion team. Most seats in the park have a fantastic view of the mountainous landscape that peers over the outfield fences. The field level seats also have small video screens that display the scoreboard information. The park has many dining options, but the popular item is the Timmy Mountain Burger. Behind the video screen in center field is a corn processing plant that handles millions of bushels of fresh corn every day. The dimensions are pretty deep and should help keep a pitcher's mistakes in the park. Try to draft pitching and defense to have success in this park. The Loco Dome is a park designed for an expansion team. This park is certainly an interesting place to play, to say the least. In a day and age where the retractable roof is fashionable, the Loco Dome ignores the recent trends and stands out on its own. This is a permanent roof stadium, using the same air-supported system used in Minnesota. The most distinguishing feature is the waterfall located in center field, which, unlike Kansas City, is in play. You have to wonder what the architect was thinking, if he was thinking at all. Forget about the weird bounces. What about the soggy baseballs? Not only do opponents have to adjust to tricky caroms, but they may have to make throwing adjustments as well. The deep dimensions should favor pitchers, though contact hitters should be able to spray the balls in the spacious outfield. Draft good contact hitters and outfielders with good speed. Mailman Field is a park designed for an expansion team. The retractable roof is fast, efficient, and relatively quiet. Standing in the center field plaza area is the home run mailbox that delivers a thank you note after the home team smacks a long ball. The fantastic Mail Malkowitz Kosher Deli is also located in the center field plaza area. This stadium tends to favor pitchers, but lefty sluggers should have some success with the short porch in right field. Draft left-handed power hitters and pick up a center fielder who can cover a lot of ground defensively. Old Snavely Field is a park designed for an expansion team. The Big S has a timeless quality that brings the fun back to baseball. This park is extremely fan-friendly and has some of the best food in baseball. From the buffet-style food courts to the foot-long Snavely dog, the fans are always satisfied. The most innovative feature at this field is the hot air balloon seating. Fans can rent a hot air balloon and watch the game from above the stadium. These aren't the best seats when it's raining, but it certainly provides a different perspective of the game. This park has an interesting combination of short dimensions and tall fences, which can create interesting results. The park certainly favors hitters, but they have to get some loft in order to get it out of the park, particularly in the power alleys. Draft hitters with power and pitchers who can keep the ball on the ground. Skinner Stadium is a park designed for an expansion team. The park has bowl-shaped seating and was designed by a Canadian architecture firm. Shayla's Pancake House is located in the right field concourse. Hot pancake specials are served all day long with the famous Kids Canadian maple syrup. Atop the Pancake House is a small set of bleachers occupied by devoted fans known as the Flapjacks. The dimensions at the skin are neutral and do not favor any type of hitter over another. Balance your draft as best you can if you're using this park. The MAC is a park designed for an expansion team. The park boasts many modern features like padded seats and armrests, amusement centers, and an on-site microbrewery. The huge luxury apartment complex behind the right field fence is the most prominent feature at this ballpark. The Field View apartments overlook the field and allow renters to catch every home game. This park should favor all types of pitchers. Focus your draft on pitching and defense, picking up good contact hitters if they're available. The Whitaker Grounds is a park designed for an expansion team. The deep dimensions and low fences help give the park an old-fashioned ambiance. The target bullseye in center is 493 feet away from the plate and is unbelievably difficult to hit. Like the old Polo Grounds, the upper deck hangs over the lower decks in the outfield. Some fly balls that would normally be caught at the wall could land in the upper deck, turning outs into home runs. Fortunately for the pitchers, the fences are pretty deep here, so not too many fly balls get hung up there. Pitchers will enjoy the deep dimensions, so plan your draft around pitching, speed, and defense. Worth Chase Field is a park designed for an expansion team. The retractable dome is considered hideously loud by some, but it's incredibly fast. The roof can open or close in less than 5 minutes. The Chase Pizza Palace, nestled in the right field concourse, is a favorite among fans. The dimensions in right field should give right-handed hitters a bit of an advantage. Draft right-handed hitters with good pop and fill your pitching staff with solid right-handed throwers as well. The Zenmeyer Dome is a park designed for an expansion team. The Z-Dome was an old amphitheater that was converted into a modern baseball park. The lines are ridiculously shallow and dead center field is only 365 feet from home. The colossal center field fence known as the Tassie Mammoth can knock down many potential home runs. A manually operated scoreboard is embedded within a giant wall and features dual video monitors for replays. It is designed to give up-to-the-minute scores, but the problem is they don't pay their workers enough to keep the scores updated. The turf can produce some funny bounces, and outfielders must anticipate odd caroms off the scoreboards. This park certainly promotes hitting, and offensive numbers should skyrocket. To be effective in this park, draft power hitters and pitchers with high strikeout totals.
Billed as the eighth wonder of the world by the Astros' original owner, the Astrodome was the first ballpark to have a roof over the playing field and the first to use an artificial surface. The dome also had cushioned seats, futuristic skyboxes, and a state-of-the-art scoreboard that ran cartoons, messages, and the famous animated home run sequences. When its doors opened in 1965, the Astrodome changed the way the game of baseball was played. Many new stadiums built after the Astrodome installed turf fields, which were much easier to maintain than grass. Pitching dominated the game during the time the dome was built, and speed became a valuable asset against good pitching on turf fields. The look of the Astrodome changed a bit after a $60 million expansion project in 1989. In 1993, the manually operated, out-of-town scoreboards were installed into the outfield wall. With its ample dimensions, the Astrodome certainly gave pitchers an advantage. Even though the turf fields tend to raise the averages, that advantage was negated by poor visibility and the smooth infield surface, which led to more strikeouts and fewer errors. Like any turf field, the ball can shoot through the gaps, resulting in more extra base hits. Pitchers enjoyed the spacious outfield that kept many mistakes in the park and allowed them to be more aggressive than normal. The Astrodome hosted 2 All-Star games and was the site of Nolan Ryan's record-breaking 5th no-hitter. In 1974, Mike Schmidt hit a ball off a speaker 117 feet above and 329 feet away from home plate, which would have been a 500-foot-plus homer, but that ended up as a single as the ball dropped into center field. The New York Mets claimed that the groundskeepers were roof-keeping by manipulating the air conditioning system so that the air currents actually favored the Astros. The Astros played their last game here in October of 1999, but the Astrodome still stands and nowadays is used for other events. The Baker Bowl was first in 1887, but the Philadelphia Phillies didn't start playing here until 1904. The park was first called the Huntington Street Baseball Grounds. It was also referred to as National League Park and Philadelphia Park. The park's most common name, the Baker Bowl, was to honor Phillies owner William F. Baker. The park was nicknamed the Hump because it was built on an elevated piece of land that had a railroad tunnel underneath the outfield. This stadium was also called bandbox, a term that has become synonymous in baseball circles with small, hitter-friendly ballparks. This stadium held a mere 20,000 people, which is very small by today's standards. Colorful liquor ads on the outfield walls were covered up with blank boards during the Prohibition era. The clubhouse is located in center field and makes up part of the center field wall. In 1929, Rogers Hornsby hit a home run that went through the clubhouse door. This park is a true hitter's park. Lefties especially should be able to smack the ball off the right center field fence, which is only 300 feet from home plate. The right field foul line is only 281 feet, but the fence there is 60 feet high. The Baker Bowl hosted its only World Series in 1915. During that series, extra seats were added in front of the fence in center field, which led directly to the Phillies losing the series' final game. Though the last game was played at the Baker Bowl in June of 1938, it wasn't demolished until 1950. Crosley Field, the home of the Cincinnati Reds from 1912 to 1970. This park was originally known as Redland Field, but was renamed before the start of the 1934 season to honor Reds owner Powell Crosley. Though the stadium seated about 30,000 spectators, the largest crowd to see a Major League game here, 36,691 in 1947. Crosley Field, like many parks from that era, was forced to have irregular dimensions because of its location and surroundings. The left center field power alley was actually deeper than dead center field. The right center field power alley was only 14 feet deeper than the right field foul pole, giving left-handed power hitters a slight advantage. Rather than a dirt warning track, there's a steep incline that warns outfielders of the approaching fences. Both home and visitor clubhouses were located behind the left field stands. This park has hosted 4 World Series and 2 All-Star games, including the 1919 World Series, infamous for the Black Sox scandal. The first Major League night game was played in this stadium on May 24, 1935, an event that changed baseball forever. On June 24, 1970, the last Major League game was played at Crosley Field, and the park was demolished in 1972. Forbes Field was home to the Pirates from 1909 to 1970. The field was named for General John Forbes, a British general in the French and Indian War, who captured Fort Duquesne and renamed it Fort Pitt. This field is the epitome of the classic ballpark. The old light towers, the brick walls with strands of ivy, and the chicken wire fences give this park a completely unique look. The field has very deep and irregular dimensions like many of the other ballparks built during the dead ball era. The most unique thing about this park isn't necessarily the dimensions, but the little oddities about the walls that can affect a game. This park has a completely unique feel. Brick walls with strands of ivy, the old light towers, the chicken wire fences, and a notoriously hard infield surface. The bottoms of the light tower cages in left center, center, and right center are in play, as are the bottom of the center field flagpole and the batting cage just left of center. The clock on top of the left field scoreboard is a home run if hit. Forbes Field was the first stadium in the majors to place crash pads on the concrete walls. With the right field pole only 300 feet away, lefty sluggers have a nice target, even though they'll have to clear the 28-foot wire fence to get it out of the park. Right-handed batters will have a tough time battling the deep left field gaps. This park has hosted 4 World Series and 2 All-Star games. The last tripleheader was played here on October 2nd, 1920. No major leaguer ever threw a no-hitter in this park's 61 years of existence. The Pirates played their last game here in June of 1970, and the stadium was demolished in 1971. Located in the Harlem section of New York City, the Polo Grounds opened its gates for baseball in 1911. Many fans know the Giants played at the Polo Grounds, but the Yankees played here for 9 years before Yankee Stadium was built, and the Mets played here during their first 2 seasons in the league. The Polo Grounds certainly had some unique features. The playing field was almost oval-shaped, and the dimensions featured 2 extremes, power alleys that are over 440 feet and the foul poles that are less than 280 feet away from home plate. Although the right field line was much closer to home, the second deck overhang made it easier for hitters to swat home runs to left field. The wall on left was only 279 feet from home, but the second deck hung 21 feet over the field, which effectively shortened the distance required for a pop fly to land in the seats. Many outfielders have watched helplessly as a ball that they thought they could catch dropped into the second deck. The outfield slopes 8 feet below the infield, meaning that a person standing in a dugout can only see the top half of an outfielder. The bullpens in left center and right center are in fair territory, which can cause chaos with balls hitting the gap. The ball rolls well in the power alleys due to the slope, and the enormous center field area leads to many triples and inside the park home runs. In terms of power, this field favors pull hitters from either side of the plate. The Polo Grounds hosted 13 World Series and 2 All-Star games. This park has captured many of baseball's most memorable moments, such as the catch by Mays, Thompson's shot heard around the world, and Mel Ott's 500th home run. The last game played at the Polo Grounds was on September 18, 1963, and the park was demolished in 1964. Riverfront Stadium became the home of the Cincinnati Reds in 1970. Like most of the cookie-cutter ballparks built in that era, Riverfront featured a hard artificial turf surface and had symmetrical dimensions with deep power alleys. The famous Big Red machine of the 1970s exploited the fast surface and consistently drove the ball through the spacious power alleys. Retired numbers of former Reds are displayed along the outfield walls, including Joe Morgan's number 8. Because of the fast surface and the deep power alleys, Riverfront favored fly ball pitchers and hitters who could drive the ball in the gaps. Riverfront Stadium has hosted 5 World Series and 2 All-Star games. Tom Seaver threw his only no-hitter here against the Cardinals, and Ty Cobb's record for most career hits was broken at this park. By the year 2000, Riverfront had undergone a complete overhaul and a name change, which gave the park a whole new identity. Shea Park was the first concrete and steel stadium built specifically for baseball. The park was named for Ben Scheib, an A stockholder and baseball manufacturer. The American League's Philadelphia A's played here from 1909 to 1954, and the National League Phillies played here from 1938 to 1970. The upper deck and left field stands were added in 1925 to expand the stadium's seating capacity. In 1935, the tall right field fences were built to prevent the residents that live on 20th Street from watching for free. The light towers were installed before the start of the 1939 season. For the 1953 season, the stadium was renamed Connie Mack Stadium in honor of the legendary manager. The scoreboard was installed in front of the right center field wall in 1956. The park has an almost square contour, making the power alleys very shallow and center field very deep. Because of the small right field dimensions, left-handed hitters should be able to smack the ball off the tall fences in right center. With a center field fence reaching 468 feet, the center fielder has lots of ground to cover. Shea Park hosted 8 World Series and 2 All-Star games. Jimmy Fox hit his 500th home run here, and Lou Gehrig hit 4 straight home runs in this park. The last game was played here on October 1st, 1970, and the stadium was demolished in June of 1976. Sportsman's Park was the home for both the National League's St. Louis Cardinals and the American League's St. Louis Browns. The Browns began playing here at the start of the 1902 season and stayed until they moved to Baltimore following the 1953 season. The Cardinals began playing here in 1920 and were tenants until the current Busch Stadium was finished in 1966. After the Browns moved out, Sportsman's Park was renamed Busch Stadium after the Cardinals' owner, Augie Busch. When the Busch family bought the stadium, it was almost named after a famous beer that the family owns, but the league halted that idea. The second deck, which stretches out from first base to third, was added in 1909 and then expanded to the foul poles in 1925. Bleachers were added to the outfield in 1926, expanding the stadium's capacity to about 34,000. The lights were added in 1940. This park certainly favors left-handed bats because of the short dimensions in right and right center field. After the Cardinals' last game at Sportsman's Park on May 8, 1966, a helicopter carried home plate to their new home, Busch Memorial Stadium. Sportsman's Park played host to 10 World Series and 3 All-Star games. The last game was played here on May 8, 1966, and the park was demolished shortly thereafter. In April of 1912, Tiger Stadium opened its doors and became the home of the Detroit Tigers for the next 78 years. The park has a distinctive look and some unique features. The 125-foot flagpole in deep center is the highest outfield obstacle to ever be in play, but the double-deck bleachers are probably the most noticeable feature. The right field upper deck overhangs the lower deck by 10 feet, a setup that has collected more than a few long fly balls hit to right. Although plenty of home runs have been hit in the upper deck, only a few have traveled over the 94-foot high roof. Since the upper deck was extended in 1938, only 19 players have swatted balls over its roof. All but 4 of those mashers have hit the ball over the closer right field roof. Sluggers see this park in their dreams. Tiger Stadium favors all power hitters, but left-handed hitters have more of an edge. Right-handed batters with gap power can assault the 365-foot power alley in left center field. Batting averages in this park are normally lower than average, possibly because corner outfielders can play more shallow and cut off more would-be base hits. Unfortunately for pitchers, this park is homer-friendly and much of the scoring comes from the long ball. Tiger Stadium has hosted 6 World Series and 3 All-Star games. This park helped Ty Cobb win 12 batting titles in the early part of the 20th century. Babe Ruth hit his 700th career homer here in 1934, and Lou Gehrig's 2,130 consecutive games played streak finally came to an end at Tiger Stadium. In 1962, Harmon Killebrew became the first person to hit the ball over the left field roof of Tiger Stadium, a feat that only ever happened 3 other times. Reggie Jackson's mammoth shot in the 1971 All-Star Game hit the light tower above the roof in right field, about 520 feet from home plate. The Tigers played their last game here in September of 1999, and the park still hosts college and high school games.
Bank One Ballpark has been the home of the Arizona Diamondbacks since their inaugural season in 1998. This park has become the model for many of the new stadiums that have been recently constructed. The Bob was the first big league ballpark to feature a retractable roof and a natural grass surface. The roof opens to various set positions to make sure a certain amount of sunlight hits the grass without overheating the rest of the stadium, which allows for quick and efficient cooling. During the early and later parts of the season, the grass can have dead spots, which can lead to bad hops and strange bounces. The most unusual feature at Bank One Ballpark is the swimming pool, which is located behind part of the right field fence. Despite the elevation and the heat, Bank One is considered a pitcher's park, though scoring tends to increase when the roof is open and the warm air settles in. The 24-foot wall in center field is extremely difficult for hitters to clear, and the power alleys are deeper than most parks, which helps keep long drives in the park. Outfielders may find the angles of the walls difficult to read, and the power alleys force them to cover a lot of ground. Bank One Ballpark hosted its first World Series in 2001. Built next to the Mississippi River and the Gateway Arch in downtown St. Louis, Busch Stadium became the home of the St. Louis Cardinals in 1966. The fences were much deeper than the other cookie-cutter ballparks built in that era, and the turf field was slick. After extensive renovations during the 90s, the infamous turf was replaced with real grass, and the fences were moved in, making the park more power-friendly. 3 tiers of red seats circle the entire grass playing field, and the scoreboard has an electronic cardinal that chirps and animates when a Cardinal batter smacks a home run. A huge manual scoreboard hangs over the seats at the upper deck and center field. It also has sections that display the Cardinals' retired numbers and championship flags. During the early years, this park favored gap hitters, but after all of the recent changes, the park is now relatively neutral in terms of offensive production. The ball carries well down both lines, especially during the hot midsummer months, but there's a lot of foul territory behind home plate, and the gaps in the power alleys are still fairly large. Pitchers will benefit from the smooth grass infield, even though the surface is usually hard and plays fast. Though speed may not be as necessary as it was in the past, the power alleys are still fairly deep, and outfielders with good range and speed will help pitchers out tremendously. Lou Brock stole his then record-breaking 105th stolen base here. Hall of Famer Bob Gibson turned in 5 20-win seasons in this park. Built just a mile away from the famous Tiger Stadium, Comerica Park became the home of the Detroit Tigers during the 2000 season. This park combines contemporary and classic styles like many of the other ballparks built in recent years. No seat at Comerica Park is obstructed, and just about all of the seats have an excellent view of downtown Detroit. A huge 202-foot wide scoreboard sits behind a level of seats in left field. Along the left center field wall are 5 statues of Tiger greats, including Al Kaline, Hal Newhouser, and the legendary Ty Cobb. In straightaway center field are several fountains that shoot liquid fireworks after a Tiger batter hits a home run. The bullpens are located behind the right field wall. Although the prevailing wind blows out to left field, this park has been extremely tough on right-handed power hitters. That could change this season, though, because the cavernous left center field gap, which once stood 398 feet away from home, has been moved 25 feet closer to home plate. There's still a lot of room in that outfield, so hitters will be at a disadvantage, though not nearly as much as they were in the past 3 seasons. The outfielders will certainly have less ground to cover, and the number of long relay throws will be cut back as well. Despite the change in the dimensions, this park should still favor pitchers, particularly fly ball types. Detroit has hosted 6 World Series and 3 All-Star games in their old park, but have not had the opportunity to host in their new facility. The Chicago White Sox moved into the new Comiskey Park in 1991. From the colored concrete exterior to the scoreboard, the new Comiskey Park looks very similar to the old park that the White Sox played in for 80 years. The manually operated scoreboard in center field is a replica of the one that was built for old Comiskey Park back in 1938. In the past, the upper deck has even been closed off at times because of high winds, which could cause safety problems. Before the start of the 2001 season, the fences were moved in for more bleachers, and the wall heights were lowered, which made the field more conducive to the long ball. The distances to the outfield wall were changed most noticeably down the foul lines. This was once a good pitcher's park, but the dimension changes have turned Comiskey into a good park for power hitters. The ball has been flying out of this park in recent years, particularly down the lines, giving pull hitters a bit of an edge. Outfielders are given a lot of room to catch up with fly balls in the gaps, and the infield surface is one of the best in the majors. Mike Cameron had a 4-home run game in this park last season. The new Comiskey Park will host the 2003 All-Star Game. Coors Field became the home of the Colorado Rockies in 1995. Coors became the first baseball-only park built in the National League since Dodger Stadium in 1962. The brick-structured jagged outfield dimensions and the hand-operated out-of-town scoreboard give the park a neoclassic look. Without a doubt, the most distinguishing feature of this park is the high altitude. Because of the altitude, a batted ball will travel much further than normal, which makes Coors Field the best hitters park in baseball history. A row of purple seats, which wraps around the entire upper deck that shows at what point the stadium reaches 1 mile above sea level. The modern color replay boards are displayed in left field, and a hand-operated out-of-town scoreboard is situated on the right field fence. Rockies fans know the 2,300-seat bleacher section located behind the center field backdrop as the Rock Pile. The bullpens are found behind the right field fence, along with trees, rocks, and fountains that depict a Colorado landscape. Supposedly, some of the Rockies relievers plant a small garden near their bullpen every season. The high altitude in Colorado makes Coors Field the most hitter-friendly park of all time. Although everyone seems to hit in this park, right-handed hitters may have a bit of an edge, possibly because of the slightly smaller dimensions in left. Outfielders tend to play deeper because they expect the ball to get hit over their heads, so bleeders may fall in for hits and runners may challenge their arms. Pitchers must concentrate on throwing strikes and understand that they'll give up a few runs here and there. Hideo Nomo threw his no-hitter against the Rockies despite the favorable hitting conditions at Coors Field. Built in Chavez Ravine on a hill overlooking downtown Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium has been the home of the Los Angeles Dodgers since 1962 and is currently the second oldest park in the National League. With palm trees beyond the fences and a great view of downtown Los Angeles, Dodger Stadium quickly became recognized as a great place to see a game. In 1978, the Dodgers became the first team to draw 3 million fans to the ballpark. This park has remained one of the cleanest and nicest ballparks in the country despite its age. The low 4-foot steel walls in the corners are sometimes referred to as the dip. The windows in the bullpen fence were installed in 1974. There are 2 scoreboards above the bleachers in the power alleys. Unlike other parks, there is no sign showing the distance in dead center field. Instead, there are 2 395 signs to the left and right of dead center. Almost instantly, the park developed a reputation for being a pitcher's park because of the large amount of foul territory and the deep power alleys. For almost 40 years, total scoring and batting average have ranked amongst the lowest in either league. Because the ball only has to clear a 3-foot wall in the corners, pull hitters may have a slight power advantage over gap hitters who must contend with a large amount of ground in the alleys. Fly ball pitchers seem to benefit more from the park than a ground ball pitcher would, although both types generally have success at Dodger Stadium. Dodger Stadium has hosted 8 World Series and an All-Star game. Although it is more than 3 decades old, Dodger Stadium still ranks as one of Major League Baseball's top ballparks. Edison International Field, formerly Anaheim Stadium, has been the home of the Angels since 1966. Originally built for football and baseball, the Big Ed had a generic feel until the park was remodeled into a more compact baseball-only facility in 1997. The once symmetrical dimensions were changed to a more irregular configuration with an 18-foot wall that runs from right to right center that causes odd caroms and cuts down extra base hits. The park's most prominent feature is the outfield extravaganza area, located behind the wall in left center field. The rocks spring to life with a 90-foot-high geyser and a firework display to celebrate fantastic plays on the field. The famous A-frame scoreboard was moved into the parking lot and replaced with a new video display board and an out-of-town scoreboard near the right field seats. Right-handed batters may suffer a bit due to the wide-open left center field gap. The spacious gaps to the left of center field could give southpaws extra confidence when they have to face right-handed bats in the lineup. 2 of Nolan Ryan's record 5 no-hitters were thrown here. Reggie Jackson hit his 500th home run in this park as a member of the Angels. Edison International Field hosted last year's World Series and 2 All-Star games. Kauffman Stadium opened in 1973 as the home of the Kansas City Royals and joined the ranks of the cookie-cutter parks that were popping up all over, though it had a more unique appearance. The waterfalls and the huge scoreboard are easily recognizable to baseball fans everywhere. Beyond the fence in left field is a 30 by 40-foot Jumbotron video display board that was the largest in the United States when it was installed in 1990. Behind the right field fence is a 322-foot wide fountain, the largest privately funded waterworks in the world. The fountains feature lighted cascades between innings and spray jets of water called liquid fireworks after home runs and outstanding plays made by the home team. By 1996, the artificial turf was removed and replaced with natural grass, and the fences were moved in 10 feet, which helped turn the K into one of the best hitters' parks in the American League. The ball also carries extremely well here, especially during the summer when the weather is hot, and many hitters believe that the K has the best visibility in the majors. Pitchers should try to keep the ball on the ground here because the infield grass is thick and well kept, which should cut down on the bad hops. Nolan Ryan threw one of his no-hitters in this park during the 1973 season. Kauffman Stadium has hosted 2 World Series and an All-Star game. Fenway Park has been the home of the Boston Red Sox for the past 90 years and is the oldest active stadium in baseball. After fires destroyed much of the outfield area in 1933, the park was remodeled and has looked pretty much the same since. With a capacity of 33,817, Fenway is the smallest ballpark in the majors. The park has quirky dimensions and many unique features, most notably the famous 37-foot left field wall known as the Green Monster. Although it stands only 310 feet away from home plate, the Green Monster is 37 feet tall and has a 23-foot screen extending above it to protect the storefronts on Lansdowne Street. The Monster includes a manually operated scoreboard that has been used since 1934. The video scoreboard was added behind the bleachers in center field after the 1975 season. The roof over the right field stand seems to invite home runs, but no one has ever hit one over it. This park is notorious for its poor drainage, which can cause havoc on the infield grass. As a result, bad hops and strange bounces will occur. Fenway Park is the hardest home run park in baseball for left-handed hitters, and home runs by right-handed batters have been down in recent years as well. The deep right center field gap and the swirling winds tend to kill anything hit into the air to right. Hitters with good bat control can play pepper with the Monster and take advantage of the quirky angles in the center field gaps. Fenway Park has hosted 3 All-Star games and 7 World Series, including the drama-filled 1975 and 1986 World Series. In 1986, Roger Clemens struck out 20 batters in a game in this park. Derek Lowe tossed a no-hitter here last season. Plans for a new Fenway Park are currently being discussed, though most plans revolve around a replica of the current ballpark. The Great American Ballpark will be the new home of the Cincinnati Reds for the upcoming 2003 season. Built upon the banks of the Ohio River, the first things fans will notice are the huge concourses, which will provide views of the ballpark, river, and city skyline. 2 3-story brick buildings, a parking garage, and an open pavilion surround the park. The pavilion is called Crosley Terrace, a concrete area with some grass and trees that will be adorned with statues of Reds legends as the fans pass into the stadium. The new park should seat just above 42,000 fans and have many of the modern features that most new ballparks have. On top of the left field bleachers is the primary scoreboard. The clock that rests on top of the main scoreboard in left field will be a replica of the clock that was used at Crosley Field. A picnic area overlooking the river sits in center field, and the right field bleachers have only one level. This park should favor hitters, particularly left-handed hitters, because there is not a whole lot of foul territory and the distances down the lines are fairly shallow. When the Metrodome was opened for baseball in 1982 and became the home of the Minnesota Twins, the term home field advantage was redefined. Home field advantage has never been so prominent. The Twins have never lost a World Series game at the Metrodome. It is the only air-supported dome in the major leagues and is covered by more than 10 acres of Teflon-coated fiberglass. The infamous white roof makes it difficult for fielders to see the ball when it's hit high in the air because the ball blends in with the white-colored roof. Not only do fielders have trouble seeing the ball against the roof, but some balls have also been hit off the roof, and on one occasion, through the roof. The sheer loudness of the crowds in the Metrodome set new decibel records, which can help a team just as much as being familiar with the park. To make matters worse for a defense, fans wave white homer hankies during a rally, which makes picking the ball up off the bat extremely difficult. The big blue baggie in right field is a 23-foot wall that is made with a plastic cover to hide some of the retractable football seating. Singles hitters and gap hitters tend to fare well here, as they would on most turf fields, but the dome heavily favors left-handed batters who can take aim at the big blue baggie in right field. Pitchers should try to keep the ball in the middle of the field and take advantage of the fairly poor visibility. The Metrodome has hosted 2 World Series and the 1985 All-Star Game. Plans for a new retractable roof ballpark for the Twins are underway. Jacobs Field has been the home of the Cleveland Indians since 1994. The attendance at Indians games boomed almost as soon as the gates opened. The Jake, as the park is commonly known, has a classic look and many modern luxuries. Just about every seat in the house has an excellent view of downtown Cleveland. The bleachers at left sit atop a 19-foot wall, and the bullpens are raised above the playing field so the fans can see who is warming up. There are picnic areas and restaurants located beyond the outfield fence, and the huge 120 by 200-foot scoreboard stands above the bleachers. Even though the distances down the lines are the same, the short right field porch favors left-handed pull hitters, while the 19-foot wall and left can limit right-handed batters by keeping some of their deep drives in the park. Triples are more frequent here due to the unpredictable caroms caused by the jagged dimensions. Hitters complain that the batter's visibility isn't the best, particularly in the daytime, when reflections off of the buildings can be distracting. The combination of thick grass and a hard dirt surface make the infield inconsistent, which can confuse infielders and cause bad hops at any time. Jacobs Field has hosted 2 World Series and 1 All-Star Game and still ranks as one of the best places to see a game. Miller Park became the new home of the Milwaukee Brewers in 2001. The new facility has a traditional look, but has a retractable dome roof to protect against the cool weather in Wisconsin during the spring and fall. The roof retracts like a fan and can open or close within 10 minutes. Like the other newly built stadiums, Miller has modern conveniences like open-air patios and walkways, pubs and restaurants, and a museum. The facade of Miller Park consists of red brick and arched windows along the entrance. Fans are closer to the action on the field because each seating level hangs over others slightly. Concourses on the field level allow fans to see the game while walking around the ballpark. The famous slide that the Brewers mascot rides was placed behind the concourse in left center. A huge video scoreboard rests above the hitter's backdrop in center field. Manual scoreboards located on both the left and right field walls keep fans notified of scores of other MLB games. The foul poles are only 315 feet away, which is very reachable for pull hitters from either side of the plate, but the power alleys are fairly deep. The deeper dimensions in the power alleys should help out pitchers tremendously, but there is very little foul territory, so pitchers won't get as many cheap outs from foul balls. Miller Park hosted last year's All-Star Game and has been well received by fans and players. Minute Maid Field was open for the start of the 2000 season and is the home of the Houston Astros. This new facility is located in downtown Houston and features a retractable roof that can close in less than 20 minutes, which will eliminate any factors the hot and muggy weather may have on a game. Minute Maid has all of the modern amenities that most new stadiums have, like playgrounds, restaurants, and a new sound system. The most distinguishing feature at Minute Maid is the unique center field area called Towels Hill. The fence sits 435 feet away from home plate, by far the deepest in the majors. Not only that, but the little alcove that is created just to the left of dead center has a hill leading up to the wall and a flagpole in the field of play. This setup leads to some interesting plays when the ball is hit into deep center field. Minute Maid is a good park for hitters, though the park's actual effect on the offense is greatly exaggerated, especially when compared to Coors Field. Right-handed batters have a bit of an advantage because the 21-foot fence in left field is only 315 feet away, and the left center power alley stands at a mere 362 feet. Pitchers can do well at Minute Maid, particularly if they can prevent hitters from pulling the ball. The new infield surface is smooth and plays very clean, which will help ground ball pitchers, but there's not a whole lot of foul territory, which costs pitchers. Minute Maid Park will host the 2004 All-Star Game. And is the home of the Oakland Athletics. The park was called the Mausoleum in the late 1970s when the entire stadium was gray concrete in color, the scoreboard didn't work, and the A's were terrible. The net got a facelift before the 1996 season in order to get football back to the Oakland area. All of the outfield bleachers were removed, and the video boards were moved above the stadium roof down both the left and right field lines. Historically, the net has been one of the best pitchers' parks in the American League. All pitchers greatly benefit from the thick infield grass and the 16-foot walls in the power alleys that help keep long fly balls in the park. The net also has the largest amount of foul territory in the majors. Because of this, experts estimate that the foul territory at the net reduces batting averages by roughly 5 to 7 points. The sun can be tough on a defense in this park, particularly in right field. Network Associates Coliseum has hosted 6 World Series and an All-Star game. Since 1972, the Coliseum has hosted 36 postseason games, and the A's have won 22 of those contests. Catfish Hunter pitched a perfect game here in 1968. Ricky Henderson broke Lou Brock's career stolen base record with his patented headfirst slide in 1991. Oakland officials are looking into building a new ballpark for the A's in the near future. Originally designed for the 1976 Olympic Games, Olympic Stadium has been the home of the Montreal Expos since 1977. It was supposed to be the first stadium to feature a retractable roof, but they were never able to get the roof to retract, so a new, permanent roof was installed in 1998. This park bears a resemblance to other parks built in the 70s, but it has a slightly different feel. All messages are spoken in French and English, and the Canadian and American national anthems are sung before each game. The technical ring that surrounds the stadium on the inside of the roof has sparked some interesting situations. An orange line was painted on the technical ring after it was hit with a controversial foul ball. Since then, balls that have hit the rings have been ruled fair and therefore home runs because of this orange line. The roof improves offense by keeping out the cold northern air, and the turf caters to fast teams. The high outfield walls and the generous foul territory help make Olympic Stadium a good pitcher's park. Tim Raine set the single-season stolen base record for rookies at this park in 1981. Olympic Stadium has yet to host a World Series, but hosted the 1982 All-Star Game. If the Expos remain in Montreal, a new park would certainly be a consideration. Oriole Park became the home of the Baltimore Orioles in 1992 and sent a message to the baseball world. After an extremely successful debut during the 1992 season, Oriole Park sent a message to baseball owners: build a ballpark in the downtown area that combines modern features with classic charm. The new park revived the Baltimore Harbor area, and the shops and restaurants that surrounded the park flourished. This park started the trend to build retrofitted ballparks with both modern amenities and classic appeal to help revitalize the downtown area. The park's design went away from the generic multi-sport facilities that were constructed in the 70s and was built with a style and an old-fashioned charm like the parks from the turn of the century. The brick exterior gives Oriole Park a traditional appearance, and features like the unique double-deck bullpens in left center field add a modern touch. The most recognizable feature at Oriole Park is the warehouse that looms over the right field wall. The warehouse is the longest building on the East Coast and contains offices, restaurants, and other shops that create a festive pre- and post-game atmosphere at Camden Yards. After an inaugural season, the fences were pushed back considerably, and the park was transformed from a bandbox to a pitcher's delight. At first glance, the right field wall looks rather shallow at 318 feet, but the 25-foot wall and the 373-foot gap in right center will take some home runs away from left-handed hitters. Although this is a pitcher's park, right-handed batters have a bit of an edge over lefties because the ball travels well to left field and the power alley isn't as deep as it is in right. The infield grass here is cut higher than most fields, which will give infielders more time to react to ground balls and allow them to make more plays. This park will forever be remembered as the place where Cal Ripken played his 2,131st consecutive game, breaking the immortal Lou Gehrig's record for consecutive games played. Oriole Park has yet to host a World Series game, but hosted the 1993 All-Star Game in its second year of existence. In 2000, Pacific Ballpark became the home of the San Francisco Giants. This park was the first privately funded ballpark built for Major League Baseball since Dodger Stadium was opened in 1962. Wind conditions are greatly improved from the old Candlestick Park, as modern design technology allows for construction that can block the wind effectively. Like many of the other new baseball parks, Pac-Bell was modeled like a classic ballpark, with irregular outfield contours and many distinguishing features like the huge glove in left field and the sign on the left field wall that pokes slightly above the top of the fence. The glove in left field is marked with a 501 sign, which makes it the most distant current outfield measurement sign in baseball. Pac-Bell's most distinguishing feature is the unique public promenade stretching along the waterfront from right field to center field. Ferries dock just beyond the right field wall, and fans will sail by the park with fishing nets waiting for home run balls to drop into the water. The area behind the 25-foot right field wall is known as McCovey Cove, after the former Giant slugger who used to consistently drive the ball to right field with authority. The new grass blend used in the infield at Pac-Bell has played exceptionally well, and errors at the park have fallen below the league average. Left-handed pull hitters certainly benefit from the shallow right field line, though the enormous right center field gap will hurt lefties who use the middle of the field. Southpaws seem to have an advantage in this park due to the deep left center field alley where many mistakes can get flagged down. Pacific Ballpark hosted last season's World Series. However, the park will be remembered for Barry Bonds' record-breaking 71st and 72nd home runs during the 2001 season. PNC Park became the new home of the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2001. From the grandstands at PNC, Pirate fans have fantastic views of the downtown Pittsburgh skyline and the Roberto Clemente Bridge. The park is much smaller than the other retrofitted ballparks built in this decade, which gives it a cozy, intimate feel. With only 38,127 seats, PNC Park is the smallest park in terms of capacity next to Fenway. This is the first ballpark built with a two-deck design in the United States since Milwaukee's County Stadium was completed in 1953. Because there are only two decks, fans are closer to the field and get a good view of the game regardless where they are seated. The light towers in this new park are reminiscent of Forbes Field and are certainly unique from other modern ballparks. A restaurant located in left field has a 500-person party deck on the roof, which offers views of the field and of the city. The 42-foot by 24-foot scoreboard is situated behind the bleachers in left field, and the bullpens are located in center field. The out-of-town scoreboard is part of the 21-foot-high right field fence, which honors Pirate legend Roberto Clemente, who wore number 21. Though the right field line is measured at 320 feet away from home, the tall fence is tough to clear. Like many of the other parks that were built recently, PNC has spacious power alleys that would help fly ball pitchers. Pittsburgh native Sean Casey collected the first hit and the first home run in this stadium. With a new home secured, the Pirates hope to rekindle the winning tradition that produced 6 trips to the World Series. Pro Players Stadium was built in 1987 for football, but was converted for baseball in 1993 and became the home of the Florida Marlins in their inaugural season. The unpredictable weather in the Miami area is always a factor at this park. Though the park does not have the standard classic feel, the outfield wall has many nooks and crannies that lead to many interesting bounces. The second deck outfield seats are covered by canvas and are not used for baseball. The left center field area is the most distinguishing feature at Pro Players Stadium, with a 28-foot scoreboard known as the Teal Tower, which seems to attract baseballs and produces odd caroms that can fool even the best outfielders. The scoreboard creates an odd angle in deep left center field that is called the Bermuda Triangle because fly balls seem to just disappear once they reach that area. This park is awfully tough on power hitters because the ball doesn't carry well even in the warm weather. Over the years, right-handed batters seem to have a slight edge, particularly if they can pull the ball and keep it from floating into the deep left center field area. More triples than normal are hit here because of the interesting dimensions. Fly ball pitchers tend to do very well here because of the deep dimensions and the damp Florida air. Al Leiter tossed a no-hitter here in May of 1996. Barry Bonds launched his 400th career home run at this park in 1998. Pro Players Stadium hosted the exciting 1997 World Series, where Edgar Renteria's hit in the bottom of the 11th won the series for the Marlins. There has been some discussion of building a retractable roof baseball-only facility in Miami, but nothing has been decided as of yet. Known as San Diego Stadium at the time, Qualcomm Stadium became the home of the San Diego Padres in 1969. The Q is decorated with palm trees along the outfield fence, and was fully enclosed for the 1997 season. Due to the unconventional configuration of the bullpen area, this is the only park where a foul ball can be caught out of sight of all umpires and most players. This creates a situation where an outfielder can chase the ball into the corner and look toward home plate, only to have his view obstructed by the stands. It is also the only park where the bullpen dirt area actually touches the foul lines. The scoreboard has remained in the same place behind the right center field seats since the stadium opened, even though the outfield seating has changed over the years. Even though the Padres moved the fences forward in 1982, the Q was still a good pitcher's park. The ball does not carry well, and there's an above-average amount of foul territory, but more importantly, the visibility is quite poor. The park doesn't seem to affect singles hitters, partly because the grass infield can play like turf without eliminating bad hops, which can add to a batter's hit totals. Lou Brock set the all-time stolen base record during a game held at this park in 1977, a record broken 2 decades later by Rickey Henderson. Qualcomm Stadium has hosted 2 World Series and 2 All-Star games. The Padres will be moving into a new stadium in 2004. Safeco Field became the new home of the Seattle Mariners halfway through the 1999 season. The blueprints followed the same neoclassic pattern the ballparks of the 1990s have followed: natural grass, irregular dimensions, and a retractable roof. The retractable roof here at Safeco is a little different from those found in other new stadiums. When the roof here is fully closed, it does not completely enclose the stadium, meaning the dense air and wind off of the Puget Sound could still be a factor during a ball game, especially when the weather is cold. Sticking with recent ballpark trends, Safeco has team stores, picnic areas, playgrounds, restaurants, a baseball museum, and other amenities that make the ballpark a unique experience. Bleacher seats and a message board are located above the bullpens in left field, and the main scoreboard sits atop the center field bleachers. Without a doubt, Safeco is the best park for pitchers in the American League. The expansive power alleys cut batting averages severely and limit extra base hits and home runs. During the cooler months, the heavy air will knock the ball down and prevent it from carrying. The perfectly manicured infield surface provides true hops and helps prevent miscues. Safeco Field hosted the 2001 All-Star Game and has been well received by the Seattle community. Shea Stadium opened in 1964 and has been the home of the New York Mets for the last 29 years. It was one of the earliest versions of the cookie-cutter style, complete with symmetrical dimensions, modest power alleys, and lots of foul territory. The only thing missing was the artificial turf. Now Shea is the 3rd oldest venue in the National League, behind Wrigley Field and Dodger Stadium. Players often complain about the noise coming from the airport that is only a few miles away. To the left of the scoreboard and to the right of the 410 mark in center is the magic top hat that animates a big red apple when a Met hits a home run. Sitting about 25 feet behind the fence in right center, The huge scoreboard is 175 feet long and 86 feet high, with a large analog clock resting on top of it. Shea Stadium has historically been kind to pitchers. Even though the dimensions aren't incredibly deep, the park does not yield many long balls. The ball just doesn't carry that well here, though it does carry a little better to right field, which is probably why left-handed batters have had a slight edge over the years. Many batters claim that Shea has the worst visibility in the majors. There is also lots of foul territory, and infield grass is cut very high, two things that are known to assist pitchers. Hall of Famer Jim Bunning threw a perfect game against the Mets in this park on Father's Day in 1964. Shea Stadium has hosted 4 World Series, including the memorable 1969 and 1986 Fall Classics, and played host to the 1964 All-Star Game. Preliminary plans for a new ballpark for the Mets have been discussed, but put on hold temporarily. SkyDome became the home of the Toronto Blue Jays in 1989 and was an instant success. The retractable roof stadium was the first of its kind, and it sported the tallest dome and the largest jumbotron to date. The Blue Jays provided highly competitive baseball, while the dome supplied many shops, restaurants, and other services that would make people happy. The Blue Jays became the first team to draw over 4 million fans in a season. The success of SkyDome led the charge for other teams to build new, modern ballparks. The most recognizable feature of SkyDome are the businesses that are strewn across the outfield and the absence of bleacher seats. SkyDome also has commercial restaurants, bars, and hotels to go along with the various shops and plazas. The bars and restaurants have open views of the field and do not serve the standard stadium menu. The 348-room hotel located in center field has 70 rooms that overlook the field. On a rare occasion, patrons staying at the hotel have provided SkyDome fans with some alternative entertainment. When the roof is open, the closed end of the stadium serves as a wind scoop that causes a downdraft in the outfield, which tends to prevent home runs. This park is usually neutral to pitchers, but like any turf field, ground balls will shoot quickly through the gaps in the turf and produce more extra base hits. SkyDome has hosted 2 World Series and an All-Star Game. The ballpark in Arlington became the home of the Texas Rangers in 1994. The field itself is located 22 feet below street level in order to avoid summer winds, and the windscreen that stands on top of the offices in center field minimizes the impact of stiff breezes. Though the park is truly fan-friendly and the seats alongside the dugouts are as close to the baselines as any in baseball, the upper deck seats are further away than any other park in baseball. The left field wall consists of a 10-foot-high manual scoreboard. Beyond the center field wall stands a 4-story office building, which not only houses the Rangers front office, but a baseball museum and a children's learning center that are open year-round. In front of the office complex, just behind the field, are playgrounds and concession stands. The Jumbotron is located above the covered home run porch in right field. Because of the dry heat, the ball carries well to all fields, even at night. The large outfield gaps in this park promote extra base hits, and the dimensions really help left-handed hitters who can lift the ball in the air consistently. Because the ball carries so well, particularly to right and right center field, fly balls often escape the reaches of the outfielders and fall in for extra base hits. Kenny Rogers threw a perfect game in this park on July 28, 1994. The very first interleague game was played here in 1997. The ballpark in Arlington was the host of the 1995 All-Star Game. Though Tropicana Field was built in 1990, the park opened for baseball as home of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in 1998. It features a cable-supported domed roof to lock out the unpredictable Florida weather and has a fast turf surface with all-dirt base paths. The apex of the dome is 225 feet high over second base and slopes to 85 feet at the center field wall. The off-white ceiling and the catwalks can cause fielders to lose some fly balls. Some of the catwalks are in play, so players and umpires must be aware at all times. There is a beach-themed patio in left field and the restaurant hidden behind the batter's eye in center field. The scoreboard is located beyond the right center field seats. There are a few sections of seats behind home plate that have their own television monitors. The short fences in left field should help right-handed power hitters. The dirt base paths within the turf infield can cause unpredictable hops, and the off-white ceiling is a real tricky background. Add to that the strange plays that can occur with the catwalks, and playing defense here can be a tough task. Turner Field was created from the multi-purpose stadium constructed for the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. Once the Olympics were finished, the Braves fashioned the park in the neoclassic style, and the TED became the home of the Atlanta Braves in 1997. The park has a classic look, but the stands aren't as close to the field as in some of the other new ballparks. The playing field is 20 feet below street level, with plazas and restaurants surrounding the exterior, overlooking the field. From the concourse, fans can see the surrounding neighborhood and the city of Atlanta. The Braves' amazing string of recent pennants are displayed along the facade in left field. Turner Beach, which is located on the right field patio, overlooks the field and features concessions and a picnic area with lounge chairs. With its spacious dimensions and large foul territory, Turner Field quickly earned its name as a pitcher's park. This park allows pitchers to challenge hitters and lessens the fear of making mistakes up in the strike zone. The deep right field alley hurts left-handed power hitters, and even though the ball seems to carry a bit better to left, right-handed power numbers have also been down recently. In its short history, Turner Field has hosted a World Series and an All-Star game. In 1971, Veterans Stadium replaced the 62-year-old Shea Park as the home of the Philadelphia Phillies. With a capacity of 62,382, the Vet is the largest park in the National League. The park is famous for the ultra-hard turf, which was finally replaced with a slightly softer turf before the 2001 season. Regardless, the surface still plays much faster than other parks, and the ball takes higher bounces. Other than the turf, the Vet is known for having loud, energetic fans that can shout the loudest boos in all of baseball. The 5 numbers retired by the Phillies are strung along a tarp that hangs from the bleachers in left field. A replica of the Liberty Bell is located on the stadium roof in center field between the double video screens. Because the ball skips through the infield and into the gaps faster than normal, the park has favored hitters over the years. Extra base hits are more common here than in other parks around the league. The Phillies have been around since 1883 and have never won a World Series championship until they moved to the Vet. The Phillies plan to move into their new ballpark at the start of the 2004 season. Originally built for a team in the short-lived Federal League, Wrigley Field became the home of the Chicago Cubs in 1918 and is the oldest active park in the National League. Wrigley Field got its distinctive look after renovations in 1937 when the outfield bleachers were built, the large scoreboard was installed, and the familiar ivy was planted at the base of the walls. The atmosphere surrounding Wrigley Field is outstanding. Local fans can watch the game from the rooftops of the houses beyond the outfield walls on Waveland and Sheffield Avenues. Home runs hit by opponents are tossed back on the field by the famous bleacher bums, who occupy the seats in the outfield. During the 7th inning stretch, the traditional Take Me Out to the Ballgame is sung, usually off-key, by a celebrity or guest of the team. Ernie Banks' uniform number 14 is on a flag that flies from the left field foul pole. Billy Williams' number 26 flies from the right field foul pole. After each game, a flag is raised from the center field flagpole that indicates the results. A white flag with a blue W signifies a Cub win. A blue flag with a white L, a Cubs loss. The 27-foot-high scoreboard was built in 1937 and is still manually operated. The large clock in center field was added in 1941. Rows of evergreen plants are used for the batter's background over the center field seats. Wrigley is affected by wind conditions more than any other major league park. When the wind is blowing off Lake Michigan, the park favors pitchers. But when the wind's blowing toward Lake Michigan, the ball carries extremely well and shoots out of the park. Despite its reputation as a hitter's park, Wrigley can favor pitchers in the cooler months when the wind tends to blow in and the high-cut grass will slow down hot grounders. Wrigley Field has hosted 6 World Series and 3 All-Star games, which includes the 1932 World Series, where Babe Ruth's call shot occurred. Amazingly, the Cubs have never won a World Series title at Wrigley Field. Their last World Championship came in 1908, 6 years before Wrigley was built. Kerry Wood recorded a 20-strikeout performance at Wrigley Field against the Astros in 1998. There's been talk that Wrigley may undergo a series of major renovations, adding modern amenities while hoping to retain the classic neighborhood feel. Located in the Bronx section of New York City, Yankee Stadium opened in 1923, the year that the Yankees won the first of their 26 championships. Since then, this park has become synonymous with winning and was nicknamed the House That Ruth Built, honoring the legendary Yankees outfielder Babe Ruth. The stadium went under some major renovations in 1976, but managed to keep its classic appeal. The mystique and aura about Yankee Stadium has grown over the last few years during the most recent Yankee dynasty run. The most distinguishing feature is the Monument Park area beyond the left center field fence and past the bullpens. The beautiful arrangement honors the greatest players and executives in Yankee history. There are 20 plaques on the wall and a sign with the 14 numbers the Yankees have retired. They surround 5 marble monuments that honor the most important people in Yankee history. Before the renovations in '76, the monuments were in the field of play. This park has historically favored left-handed batters and pitchers. The short porch in right field has been a target for left-handed sluggers throughout Yankee history, from Ruth and Garrick to Jackson and Mattingly to the current stars like Giambi and Bernie Williams. At 399 feet, the left center field power alley at Yankee Stadium is the deepest alley in baseball. It has been coined Death Valley, since fly balls just seem to die in the spacious gap and allows pitchers to work right-handed batters on the inside part of the plate. Yankee Stadium has hosted a record 35 World Series, 3 All-Star games, and has had many historical moments. The Major League single-season home run record was established twice at this park, the first time by Babe Ruth in 1927. Lou Gehrig gave his famous retirement speech on this very field on July 4th, 1939. In Game 6 of the 1977 World Series, Reggie Jackson belted 3 home runs to lead the Yankees to a series victory. Preliminary plans for a new ballpark for the Yankees have been discussed, but put on hold temporarily. The 2001 Major League Baseball season opener between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers took place in this park. This park is fairly old and has a beautiful tropical setting as a backdrop, but hitters have a definite advantage at this park with the cozy dimensions and the fast artificial turf. The winds are unpredictable and can heavily influence a game at any point. Reminiscent of Wrigley Field, when the wind is blowing in, it's hard for fly balls to get any lift. When the breeze is blowing out, the home runs fly. It is a small bandbox of a stadium, measuring 313 feet down the right field line, 315 in left field. Both power alleys are less than 340 feet away from home, meaning that casual fly balls could leave the yard. The turf will help the line drive hitters, but the extremely small power alleys will reduce the number of doubles and triples hit during a game. Because the winds often blow out to right field, left-handed batters should have a bit of an advantage here, albeit slight. More than any stadium on the mainland, pitchers must keep the ball down here. The Montreal Expos will be playing 22 home games in this park during the 2003 season.
This is the future home of St. Louis Cardinals. This park should seat about 49,000 people, bucking the recent trend of small, cozy seating arrangements. From just about anywhere in the ballpark, fans will have an incredible view of downtown St. Louis in the famous Gateway Arch. Where the left field seats turn the corner at the foul pole, the upper deck will project out toward the field. The first rows of the upper deck will overhang the playing field, creating a home run porch just like at Tiger Stadium in the Polo Grounds. A brick building will serve as the hitter's background in center field. The ballpark village beyond center field will support the Cardinals Hall of Fame, an aquarium, restaurants, shops, and offices. Some of the buildings in the neighborhood of the ballpark may have rooftop viewing like at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The deep power alleys should certainly give pitchers an advantage in this park. The Cardinals will begin play in this park during the 2005 season. This is the future cycle expansion team for Washington, D.C. The park is modeled in the now common neoclassic style. Most seats in this park have a fantastic view of the Capitol building and the Washington, D.C. skyline. The right field area is shaped somewhat like Fenway Park, but the wall is made of brick and covered with ivy. The right field foul pole is only 307 feet away from the home, but the wall angles sharply towards the power alley, which measures a very deep 416 feet. This shape should make the park very challenging for left-handed power hitters. Washington leads the list of cities that could support Major League Baseball. This is the future home of the Boston Red Sox. The dimensions are exactly the same as the current Fenway Park. Many of the features like the green monster and the center field triangle will look similar. The new park will have more seats and wider aisles, providing more comfort for the fans. Once the new place is open, the Red Sox plan to build a baseball museum, Red Sox Hall of Fame, and Children's Center within the park. Like the older park, this version will still be tough on left-handed pull hitters, while the monster will be an inviting target for right-handed pull hitters. Plans for the new Fenway Park are being developed, but no date has been set for the groundbreaking. This is the future home of the Oakland A's. Fans will be able to see the skyline of downtown Oakland from beyond the left field bleachers. The most prominent feature is the enormous hotel that looms over the center field fence. The hotel in center field will have many rooms that overlook the ball field. Lodgers will be able to pay special rates and get a room with a view of the field on days when the Athletics play. The deep dimensions will certainly favor pitchers, much like their current home park. Plans are underway for this new ballpark for the A's, but as yet, no timetable has been set. This is the future home of the San Diego Padres. Leading up to the entrance of the ballpark, fans will pass by palm trees and water walls reminiscent of the early Spanish missions. Fans will have a great view of the game since all the seats will be close to the field and angled toward the pitcher's mound. The west side building will be part of the left field wall and foul pole. The main scoreboard sits above the left field bleachers. Behind the outfield wall, there's an area called the Park at the Park, which is an area that will be used for lawn seating and standing room viewing. A volleyball court just behind the right field wall may be a target for lefty sluggers. Some seats will feature monitors that will allow users to surf the internet and order food from their seats. Pitchers will likely benefit from the fairly deep dimensions. The Padres will move into this park at the start of the 2004 season. This is the future home of the Philadelphia Phillies. The new ballpark will feature bowl-style seating with the playing field embedded 23 feet below street level. This type of layout is inspired by the plans of the Baker Bowl in Shea Park, the previous homes of the Phillies. The street-level entrances lead to the main concourse and have a wide-open view of the field. Fans will be able to see the skyline of downtown Philadelphia beyond the center field fence. The new scoreboard is located above the bleacher seats in left field. About 300 bleacher seats will be located on the roof of an outfield pavilion looking down into the bullpens. The Liberty Bell image from Veterans Stadium hangs from the light support in right field. This park has symmetric dimensions and shouldn't favor any particular type of hitter or pitcher. The Phillies will move into this ballpark for the start of the 2004 season. This is the future home of the New York Mets. The stadium remains in the Queens section of New York City, but has touches that will remind fans of the old Brooklyn ballpark. Fans will have a stunning view of the famous Manhattan skyline in the background. Although the park will have a retro-style look, the technology will be unbelievable. The retractable roof will have an open-air design similar to the roof at Safeco Field. The most intriguing feature is the retractable natural grass surface. The grass will be placed on a large platform that can slide out in 15 minutes for non-baseball events. With the short dimensions in right field, left-handed power hitters should have very little difficulty reaching the seats. Left-handed pitchers should benefit from the deeper left center gap. Plans for the construction of the new Met Stadium have temporarily been put on hold. This is the future home of the Minnesota Twins. This park is much different from the Metrodome. The field will be natural grass and sit 13 feet below street level. Every seat will be angled toward home plate, providing fans with a great perspective of the field. This park will feature wider aisles and wider seats. The retractable roof will span over 600 feet and can open or close in less than 15 minutes. When the roof is open, fans will have a beautiful view of the lakes beyond downtown Minneapolis. The famous baggy fences from the Metrodome make a reappearance in this new park. But unlike the Metrodome, this park should favor right-handed hitters and help out right-handed pitching. Plans for the Twins' new park are underway, but the opening date has yet to be announced. This is the future home of the Chicago Cubs. The park will be built on the current Wrigley Field site, and the playing field dimensions will remain the same as the old park. Many of the features like the ivy, the brick fences, and the scoreboard will have a familiar look. To support larger crowds, additional upper deck seating is added in the outfield areas. The famous bleachers in the outfield are replaced with more comfortable chairs. The wind will still be a big influence on games played at this park. Plans for remodeling Wrigley Field have been discussed, though no date has been set. This is the future home of the New York Yankees. The new Yankee Stadium combines the classic feel of the older Yankee stadiums with the luxuries of the modern-day parks. The new stadium has a retractable roof, similar to the one at Maid Park in Houston. Like the classic Yankee Stadium, the monuments return to the field of play, but the retired numbers and the plaques remain behind the outfield fences. The dimensions are exactly the same as the current Yankee Stadium, and many of the features from the fences to the facade look similar. Since the dimensions haven't changed, this stadium will still favor left-handed pitchers and batters. Plans for building the new Yankee Stadium have been put on hold temporarily.